So thought I'd make a video. Still feeling kind of sick from them using some sort of device that has been shooting into my intestines, blasting all the feces, depriving anything. I'm almost positive this can't be in any way. Whoever's doing it, that doesn't have any medical, maybe enough knowledge to know that this could possibly be doing damage to my internal organs or cause a heart attack or something like that. But still feeling kind of sick, but I was, wanting to talk about a few things and vent. I'm 41 years old. I've always said that I've always feel a lot older. I'm always on Instagram, on Facebook all day pretty much when my activities, because I don't really have much to do other than when I'm running errands or trying to find a job or working, try to keep myself busy. And I send all these people these little miniature DJ gifts to friends that I used to DJ with all the time, and there was like 7 of us, maybe even 8 of us that used to DJ all the time. And when I talk about all the time, like I was 15, 16 years old, started DJing, and we started having house parties at my house, and a lot of the DJs would always come over and basically do rotations. Somebody would play for an hour, and then Eric would play for an hour, then Michael would play for an hour, then Kevin would play for an hour, and then Chris would play for an hour, and then I would play for an hour. Or it was usually about 30 minutes because there was like 6 or 7 of us. And I did most of all my DJing with Michael Rossler. Most of it, over 50%. The rest of it was other friends. And he used to DJ with Barry Pan. He used to come over to my house, watch me DJ a lot. Of all the attention and everything that's going on, I really did believe that there was going to be eventually some sort of gathering of friends, and we were going to get DJ contracts possibly. And I don't really think, I like 100% now believe that that's not ever going to happen. Why would somebody ever help anybody and give anybody DJ contract for any kind of reason for nothing? They don't know who I am. They don't know who Michael is. They don't know who Eric is. I mean, regardless, like the one that still plays out to the clubs a lot was Eric, and he did all the booking. He really does deserve it. Because he did so much work, he did so much promotions, and helped all of us get gigs. He was the guy that everyone went to that was always hooking people up with gigs. And to play with him, I played with Eric probably at clubs more than anyone else. And I really didn't play at any clubs other than Afterlife and Yucatan. And I think there may have been 1 or 2 other clubs. But that was it. And played at Afterlife quite a bit with Eric. But, I don't think, I send these miniature DJ gifts so we can all kind of remember the good times and that we're all connected. And that, before everyone kind of went their separate ways, there were some really good times we had. And hopefully that we would get together again. And I really don't think any of that is going to happen. I don't think any of that is ever going to happen. Me personally, I would think that there would be a lot of feud between them. If you took me out of the picture like they did, regardless, there would be a lot of feud between them, in my opinion. But I thought it would be worth having a conversation about. I personally don't know anything about production, so I couldn't make any music on production, and that's a standard. That's a standard to be a DJ. You have to know how to make music in order to be a DJ, and that's been over 20 years. For the past 25 years, it's been a standard that you have to know how to produce. Even if you don't know how to produce, even if you don't in order to be a DJ, you have to know how to produce music, make your own music. Even though even if it's real seldom, you have to know how to make a full length track. And I have no idea how to make any of that. It takes quite a long time to learn and patience. But I went to Dr. Dre's Red Alert, I think it's called, or I can't remember, Aftermath. I think it was Aftermath Records, which is in Los Angeles, and that's where Beats, the headphones. Dr. Dre made like $1 billion or something like that, and I think to myself, I went knocking on the door to take a tour, and there was just some security guard, some guy just showed up, and he just said no. He was shaking his head no, and I guess they didn't give tours because it's a big facility. It's like a big office building. The entire building and everything is like the headquarters or whatever. And but I thought that like 50 Cent, because I was in Los Angeles and I would come across people saying, "Oh, you got 50 Cent, you got," and I'm like, and I have nothing the idea that why does anybody want to give you anything for free in life, especially a career that offers them loads of money. They don't know who you are, and especially on the situation I am in, there's nothing but that. Beating Michael Jackson and homosexual rapes and shit, that's not something they want to put on TV, and especially since he's the biggest pop star that ever lived. There's more of a curse than anything else. That is a curse. There's nothing more else to that. And, I don't know. I don't really think, I was truly thinking that, like somewhere in the background scenes, they were fixing things, they were keeping everybody's health, keeping everybody healthy, Eric, Kevin, Chris Martinez. Well, Chris Martinez can take care of himself really well. He's always been that way. But, Michael and all this other stuff ain't going to help. Because you could make a documentary. You could make a DJ house music documentary just with Michael and all the stuff he has. And stories from me and Eric and Chris. I mean, you could. Because there were so many of us. There was... See, a full amount of this is just the ones that we used to DJ together a lot with, and there was other ones that we'd occasionally see, maybe once or twice. They would show up at DJ, where there was very seldom occasions. But the regulars that we were always DJing was Chris Martinez, me, Barry Pan, Eric, Michael Rossiter, Mark Vickers. Even Terrence used to DJ, which he has a bit of a mental disorder. He used to live down the street from Eric. He used to DJ and he collected records as well. Then there was, who else? We continued to do that, and there were several other ones. I'm trying to think. Andrew Head, who we used to call him Head, but he passed away to my several years ago of a drug overdose, and we used to DJ with him quite a bit. He used to come over to my house, and Kevin as well. He used to DJ with us, and we would play for hours and hours. Some of them don't DJ anymore, like John Vasili, who was a longtime best friend of mine. DJed a lot with him. I started off all my equipment and learning with him, all of it, and we used to all DJ together all the time. There's an Indian guy from India. We used to DJ with him, and his name was Ubaid. But I don't ever know what happened to him. His name was Ubaid, and he had people of fame living in India, and like distance Iraq, not Iraq, but Iran, I think. But I think he was more Hindu, like from India. You could tell by looking at him, and I remember him telling me. He used to DJ like over to my house a lot, and I think he would always show up with Eric and David. I didn't know him personally. I think he knew who Frankie was, and we used to DJ with him. He was one of the most coolest, relaxing people I'd ever come across. kind of nerdy guy, and but I was rumored that he had, or I was told by Eric, a friend of mine, that he had passed away from a heart attack or something. Because I know he was. It was very weird because you never come across people that are Hindu, or not Hindu, but from India that do drugs. You'll never find them that, maybe weed, but you'll never find them, a bunch of them that are hardcore drug users. And he was the rarest. He was a really rare person from India that would do drugs, and I knew he was always buying acid and ecstasy, and he never did cocaine, but he was a big fan of pretty hard drugs, ecstasy and acid and LSD and shit. He would take a lot of that. Started drinking heavily, and he just disappeared. Nobody ever know whatever happened to him. He just disappeared. Nobody know what happened. Very nice guy. I say he was probably the nicest out of all of us, or at least the people that I knew that was a DJ. Pretty humble. He really enjoyed playing house music, but I don't know how, of all the attention and stuff that was going on, I was waiting for things to unravel, thinking there was going to be some sort of get together, and and so it's about close to 7 of us. Some of them passed away, but it was probably left about 5 of us that were regulars constantly. And of all the horrible things and messes that happened between all of us, because much of it I had nothing to do with. Because some of I forgot also, Chris Jarris. He was a big time DJ, played drum. He plays at a lot of clubs now. Eric and him and me used to play a lot together. He's an Asian guy. We used to play a lot together. But he continued playing. He plays all over the city now. But he's probably got more successful at playing clubs than any of us. And he was more of the underdog than out of all of us. I don't know how, because he never got gigs or played, and he just all of a sudden just became like real city famous, well known, playing at some major clubs and playing at Lizard Lounge and all kinds of places. He was another one. And there was a few other friends, like David used to play records occasionally, get on the turntables. Who else used to get? There's a guy named Case. Then there was who else played records? Yeah. So, it was quite a bit of us, and came across so many other DJs that would bring records to Mike's old house in Carrollton, or like when he was like working near his dad's shop. He used to have these massive parties that people would come over. But I don't know. I really thought that they were probably going to get the more core of us, these 5 or anywhere from 5 to 7 of us, that they were going to fix and help alleviate families, and then there was going to be an agreement. I have no idea. Maybe they just say you can play at these clubs and stuff, but we're not going to give you a lot of money, but you get to follow your dreams. Because I really think that it was about following your dreams and what your heart tells you to do. And I know it sounds kind of cheesy, but that's what I thought that a lot of these people, but there's the population of people that want to be rappers and singers and MCs is so astounding that you will never, especially if you're heterosexual, if you're a straight guy, you'll never be successful. I don't care what you have to say, you will never be successful. You either have to be a DMC champion, or you just have to have a lot of money. If you're starting out on basic turntables on a normal job and you're straight, you'll never be successful in that world, ever. Because who is in charge of the clubs, and what the LBGT community controls everything there. They say, and then they all fight within each other. They all hate each other and hate each other within that circle. It's pretty wild, because waiting, being homeless, and always thinking that that people were going to be more loving and more kind, and since I met Michael Jackson and they bought my mother a house, that's what they were going to do. And nothing ever happened. I'm 41 years old. In 6 months, I'll be 42. Let's just say that there was a surprise, and I'm 42 or 43 years old. It would take me a minimum of at least 6 to 8 months every single day behind turntables, training. And I'm talking about by myself in a room like this, just with headphones on, playing music, to learn how to mix again. And it would take me at least that amount, and I wouldn't be doing anything else, because I'd have to get a whole new record, collection of records and what's popular and what I'd like to play. And that's not even saying if I would even like to play anymore, if I could get used to it again, because I stopped playing on turntables on a regular basis, very regular basis, and scratching when I was about 24 to 25 years old. Other than that, I occasionally play over at Michael's, some records here and there, but it was like once every month or something like that. And that was it. I was just working and getting tickets, and I had all kinds of horrible things that were happening to me. But, gosh, it would have really been very loving and very kind for somebody to have done that to all of us. I can tell you this, it would have had more credit than any of the other DJs you've ever known, because we started off, when we played records. We actually played records. We didn't play CDJs. We didn't play, a lot of the laptops. It was everyone brought heavy records, picked them up, and then played music on these vinyl records, and you went record shopping. That's the way that's the way that DJing was supposed to be, and that's the way we played. We actually played vinyl, and we started off on vinyl. And all the CDJs and stuff, I'm very familiar with all the equipment, the names, brands. I don't know how to work any of the CDJs other than the basics, simple stuff, which is, the basics is very simple on that, just to know how to put, but the evolving of that has changed a lot. But, I think to myself, it's just like, out of all this traveling and all this other stuff, I'm thinking, things are going to unravel, and they never did. I would be like 44, 45 years old, and I'd have to take care of my health, to learn how to start scratching again. One thing is 6 to 8 months, 8 hours a day mixing to even become really good at it again. Scratching, it takes 8 hours a day just scratching. Like if you were just to put aside, 5 hours every single day for 7 months, just learning how to scratch, you still would, it would be, you couldn't, and you'd have to be taught by the best professionals like DJ Q-Bird and the Mixmaster Mike and all these legendary DJs. You'd have to get taught by them how to start scratching to even come close to be a good scratcher anymore. And that takes a huge amount of discipline and practice. Huge. It's very difficult to do, to just learn how to scratch and keep up with that. Very difficult. But I'm 41 years old. That means, because Eric and Michael and Chris are all at least like 3 years older than me. So, yeah, they're all at least 3 years older than me. So, like, Michael, I think, is turning 44, or already 44. Eric is already 44, 43. Chris Martinez is already 43, 44. And Chris Martinez stopped playing records also, and he had a normal job. So the only person that still does it was Michael and Eric, was the only two people that I knew. And I know Michael's son, his kid that he raised, plays records and was very talented, was extremely talented. But as far as growing up and doing all that other stuff, I thought that they were all going to give us, and I wouldn't say give us, I really think that if anything was going to be giving for us to follow past dreams of any kind, or follow their dreams that they wanted with music, then it was going to be strictly regulated to certain types of things, like agreements, and it isn't just going to be a free giveaway, make as much as you want, look really cool, and that was it. That's not how it works. Especially they don't know who we are. Like, that's like someone just showing up and giving you free money for no reason. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to go to the clubs. There's more DJs in this United States than there is anywhere in any musical instrument. More than guitars, more than any other instrument, and everyone is doing it. I know it sounded wild to me, but I think it would have been very kind and nice, but I know there was going to be probably very strict regulations, but we're all getting old, If something like that ever happened, then I'd have to get used to understanding that I would likely die in the public eye, and I wouldn't want to. Drug and cancer could arise in Michael Rossiter, including other friends, that did a lot of drugs as well. I know I was told that Kevin is in a nursing home or in a home care facility because he ended up having a massive brain hemorrhage or stroke, and he was disabled. He could no longer function. But yeah, I don't think it's ever going to happen. I'm going to continue probably building them just for fun, just for memories, but nothing of that nature. I know that straight people like me never be successful. Impossible. Unless somebody shows up. Impossible. Nobody is allowed in that world. Nobody. The gay community, that's all theirs. 100%. Most of them, all of them, all the DJs, if you did a roundup of all the DJs, they're all gay, and they're all transgender. All of them. I mean, there's more transgenders that are famous DJing than there are straight guys. Ever. You might get 1 out of 1,000 top DJs. I mean, if you look at all the different types of DJs that are out there that I've never even heard of, and they're playing in crowds of like 500 people, crowds of 1,000, 2,000 people on a regular basis, and I've never heard of them. Every single time I'm looking on Instagram, there's a new DJ. There's a new person that's raising their hands, and they're famous again, or they're coming out of retirement. Every single day, all the time, these new DJs. But it's a very difficult thing to continue doing it for those that had deep passion to it. But I guess that's it. It's never going to happen. I wanted to go to school, wasn't allowed, and they're shooting me with electronic devices beyond anything recognition of just torture. I don't think I'd be able to let go of the electronic devices when I would be in any type of normal state, because I've been shot by them so often, so frequently. But they really would deserve it. I can tell you, Eric would really deserve it. Michael as well, but I think Eric would probably have deserved it more, all of them, because he did the bookings, and he did the flyers, and he would help other friends get gigs. He played at so many scrabby places, and just like really just that of a dream. But it's pretty tough to think to myself, it's just like, well, that's it, we're all old, and I don't think any of us are going to get together, and we're just going to one by one leave this world and die. The thing that's, to me, I really would have liked to have gotten together with all the guys and play. I really would have liked that, and have a good time and talk and DJ like we used to. And it's just really difficult for me to kind of think to myself, why is there so much evil in this world? You have people that are billionaires. You have people that are they got so much money. They got millions and millions of dollars to throw around. And they don't seem to share any of it. They don't care. In fact, I know a lot of, you look at Headcrack and you look at Kenneth, 97.9 The Beat. they were at a radio station for 10 plus years waiting for a record deal and promoting themselves all the time, and they never got it. Headcrack did, but they never blew up like 50 Cent or Dr. Dre. They never made the millions of dollars and hundreds of thousands of dollars. They never did. And look how much promotion they were doing all the time. But there's no hope. If you're straight, you got no luck. You don't belong there. You're not welcome there. You will never be successful. It will be very shortly lived, and you will find out very quickly who the boss is when it comes to that world. That's all that team, and only for them. And they say who gets in, who gets out, who gets the prime spots, who gets everything catered to them, and it's not anybody that's straight, especially straight guys. You'll find straight females. They'll find here and there, they do occasionally. But you have so many DJs in this world, it's unbelievable. They're just in the United States, I think it was an official 100? I was going to say 500,000. I want to say there was like an official 100,000 DJs that are officially registered on like a register that play at clubs and play around the world. 100,000 DJs in the United States that are registered business owners. I think you have to be a registered business owner because you work for yourself. You don't have insurance. They don't have insurance as possible with DJing unless you make a lot of money. You have to pay for your insurance, and that's a lot of money as well. But as far as if any of us that ever wanted to be legendaries, that's all gone for us. That's all of us for sure, though. The crew that I was in, the crew that I used to be in used to be called Funk Boy Crew, and it was Hyman, who he's a little short, tiny guy that did a lot of drawing. He was an artist, and he was kind of like a cholo, and he came from Chicago, and he loved and listened to house music all the time. I don't know whatever happened to him, but he went to school. Or no, he didn't go to school, but he did a lot of graffiti, and I was going to bring him up. I was bringing him up for a reason. Yeah, but he was like the graffiti artist of the crew. But he was always around us all the time. But I don't ever know. I don't ever know what happened to some of them. You know, I don't have any connections. I don't have any contact with them. You know, I wish the best for all of them. But it takes a lot of effort. It is a lot of, even when it's fun, it takes a lot of effort. Like the practice you have to have. I mean, it's just, it's unbelievable. It's, you know, you're talking a full-time job, 8 hours a day, and you have to be very comfortable with that and what goes good with what consistently. It's not easy, in my opinion. You know, I thought Dr. Dre was going to do it, and then I thought, well, maybe 50 Cent is, because I thought they were doing this all in the background scenes and was going to give blessings, but you know, it is an extraordinarily amount of work and a hobby to be good at it. And if we all got gigs, then none of us would be playing together. We would all be traveling around different cities and just meet up with each other every once in a while. But other than that, they could make a documentary out of all of us. That's for sure. They could make a documentary out of the lifestyle of a house DJ, the lifestyle of being a DJ and crew. Like, you ever hear about those crews of people like the X-Men and the Invisible Scratch Pickles with DJ Qbert and Mixmaster Mike, Apollo, and all these other DJs that were involved in those crews? There was like 10 or 15 of them. Well, we had something like that, and there was like 10 of us. We had the graffiti artists. I know David used to do graffiti as well. DJ'd every once in a while. But you can make documentaries in the amount of raves that were attended. I didn't go no more than maybe about 5 different raves, outdoor raves and indoor raves in my lifetime. 5 to 7, I would say. And 5 to 7 different raves in my lifetime, but it's wild because I thought Dr. Dre was gonna give headphones out and shit. Didn't seem that ever happened. We're all old. That's the situation. Everybody's old. Like everybody's old, and there's a lot of drug use. Like Eric did a lot of drug use as well. He did more drinking than anybody. Chris Martinez used to use a lot of drugs, take ecstasy every single weekend and acid numbers of times. And Michael holds that trophy for the amount of drugs being used altogether. And I did plenty of other drugs as well. But it's very sad. You have all these top DJs and people that were successful, and you could make a documentary, like how they have the graffiti in New York, breakdancers and DJs documentary. You can make a documentary of the lifestyle we lived, for so many years, because we were always together all the time, and or at least every weekend, and that never happened. To get used to being in those types of environment and social life is a whole nother world as well. It's unbelievably unfair and very competitive in that world. I wish I would have gone to school. I wish I would have been allowed to go to school and choose a different career, because you can never be successful in a place you're not welcomed. You can never be successful in a place where the population is only open doors to the gay community and how they treat you and what they do. It's only for them. They're the entertainers. I have to give it to them for sure. They're more creative. When it comes to music and artists, they are 10 times naturally more creative musically, in my opinion. In my opinion, they're naturally born music creators. 10 times. They know what sounds good better. They know what... they have good regimens to practice records. They come up with extremely productions better than anybody. Better than any straight guy on the face of this world. 10 times. More naturally talented. Way more. Very talented. More creative and magical, in my opinion, than any for sure any female, but any straight male. Even though I played a lot, so pretty unfair, huh? Hopefully, this kind of brings some memories and brings some peace among all of us. But I know that, like yesterday, a week ago, I was going to Subway and I passed through the golf cart, and this guy stopped me on a cart. He says, "I'm the superintendent here. You're not allowed on this private property. This is all private property." He told me, no, this is all private property. I was like, okay, I'm sorry, I didn't know. I didn't see a sign. I really didn't. And when I left there, I saw a little sign. It was like a little sign like that. It said private property. It was like hidden and shit. It was like you can barely see it. But he told me, he goes, I won't say nothing, but that guy over there, he'll tell you something. He'll call the police or some shit if he sees you out here. I said, okay, all right. And I left. And I think he was talking about Michael, but it's nobody really knew the story, how often we're all together. I mean, DJing, and it was just all about music and having a good time and making music and being creative. That record sounds pretty good that Eric has with this record over here, or this track. That sounds pretty good. Eric had his own and that's the thing I heard about. I think Mixmaster Mike used to say. I heard him say this before. And he says it's not like this anymore. But back in those days, in which I understood very well, everyone had their own style. I mean, genuinely, like when Eric would be playing, you knew that was Eric because he had how he mixed. You knew that was him. He had his own style. When Michael was playing, he had his own style, not just record selection, but he had his own style of doing things. When I played, they knew who was playing. When Chris was playing, we all knew. We could just listen to, oh, that's Chris, that's Tech Funk right there. Oh, that's Kevin right there. That's Kevin. Oh, that's Ubaid right there. That's Ubaid playing. And we had a entire lifestyle of that, entire lifestyle of DJing that was very intense. I mean, it was every day, every single weekend for years and years and years, and continued that lifestyle, making speakers out of boxes and purchasing subwoofers and bringing amps and old mixers and cables and so on and so on. But it's when I went over to Aftermath Records in Los Angeles, which Dr. Dre owns, Dr. Beat or whatever they call it. I don't know if they call it Beats. That's what they call it, the headphones. I don't think it's owned by Apple, and Dr. Dre's the inventor or something like that. I know when I went to Aftermath Records, I wasn't going there to ask for record deals. What the hell? I'm a nothing. I'm a nobody. I just wanted to take a tour, just a tour of the place. It looked very abandoned, though. It looked like nobody was in the place. Didn't see a lot of cars parked, and the palm trees looked like they were decayed. It looked like an abandoned building. It was active. There were people in it, but I didn't see anybody. And I had to put my eyes up against the windows to look to see if there anybody was. And then the security guard showed up, and he was like coming out of the elevators and shit. But it looked pretty vacant, and they kept the doors locked. It's a big ass building. It's like the size of Good Elementary, the school I went to. But of all the stuff that was going on, the situations, I thought they were like building all these like houses with people, and they're letting people house it for a reason, and what I don't know. Some people got really lucky with living in their houses and whatnot. I was the only person that got mistreated by not being able to work and save up money and not have a place to live, because I was always being kicked out. All of them had their moms and dads that they stayed at when they went broke, or they just, still to this very day, they never moved out. They always lived at their parents' house. That's all they ever did. They didn't ever do anything else. And I was the only one that was strung out, having to support myself and pay bills and try to make something of my life, But by the age of 24, 25, I was having dreams and setting other goals and other careers. I was really passionate, really wanting to do that when I was about 25, 26 years old. I say about 25 to 27 years old. I was passionate of really just wanting to, and just needed to find a stable place and get some stuff going. It never happened. I know too many people that said they were going to recording studios, trying to be singers and whatnot, that were like 40 years old and they never made it, and they were continuing to do it. Nobody in life is going to just show up and give you if you're like 50 Cent and Dr. Dre's like friend and family and best friend, that's the only way. But nobody in life just shows up and gives you something like that. Nobody does. And your life is not that important to them, because they're suffering all over the place, and they have to keep a business. They're not musicians anymore. Many of them, in my opinion, even though they still continue making music or maybe playing a concert, they're more business people. They're more businessmen, and they're more business individuals. That's what they are to me. Dr. Dre and 50 Cent, they play at these, they're business. But anyway, I'll talk more about that a little bit later. Some other details about DJing and the crew that I was in.